Lore of the Old World, Chapter 17, Ruled by Dragons. Far to the east of the Old World lies the vast empire of Grand Cathay, stretching from the Warpstone Desert in the west to the far sea in the east, from the hinterlands of Kuresh to the south to the great steppes of the north. The empire of Grand Cathay has endured and prospered for longer than any other human civilization. Cathay is a land of wonders, with islands that hang in the sky, airships that glide across azure heavens, and living statues that stand sentinel over its borders and fortress gates. Cathay predates almost all human civilizations, and is by far the most populous human nation in the world. Its provinces, great cities and fortresses spanning thousands of miles of forests, mountains, plains and deserts. Despite its geographical size and economic strength, and in spite of the vast armies and war engines it can muster, the Cathayan Empire is surrounded by enemies and beset by rebellion and strife. To the south, the powerful kingdoms of Ind and the fearsome snake men of Kuresh threaten its borders, while to the east, elven pirates, Nipponese invaders, and ancient enemies from beneath the Jade Sea assail its port cities and coastal towns. In the west, ogres, hobgoblins, and the horrors of the Warpstone Desert cast a shadow over its lands. Though by far the greatest danger to Cathay comes from the north and the inexhaustible armies of chaos. Long before the coming of the Old Ones, the celestial dragon ruled the east. In time, humans populated his lands and came to revere him for his power and wisdom. When chaos flooded the world, the celestial dragon brought together and protected the tribes of the east. In thanks, the humans took the dragon as their emperor and served him with loyal admiration. At the birth of Cathay, the celestial dragon took a mate, the Moon Empress, and with her had 9 draconic children to rule the land, watched over by their father and mother from the capital of Waijin. Through long years of stability and patience, though its enemies are many and its leaders not always in agreement, the dragons have brought harmony to Cathay. The dragons teach the philosophy of Yang and Yin, of balance in all things. This goes so far as the Emperor and Empress themselves, the celestial dragon representing the embodiment of Yang, the power of light, heaven and fire, while the Moon Empress personifies Yin, the power of shadow, spirits and night. Together they are 2 halves of one whole, just as Grand Cathay endures through a perfect balance of all things. In recent times, the great balance of Grand Cathay has been threatened, and it faces danger like at no other time in its long history. For over 2 centuries the Celestial Dragon Emperor and the Moon Empress have been absent, leaving the running of the empire to their children. It is a time of darkness and disharmony for Cathay. Not even the draconic rulers of the empire seem to know where their father and mother have gone, or, more worryingly, if they will ever return. Throughout the empire, rebel lords and ambitious magistrates scheme to take power, while the countryside has become infested with bandit kings and criminals. In Weijing, the Jade Dragon, Yuan Bo, struggles to hold his father's empire together and oversee the celestial court and its astromancer cabals, with little help from his bickering siblings. In the east, Yin Yin, the sea dragon, looks out across the Jade Sea, her treasure fleets travelling south, east and west in search of gold and glory. Meanwhile in the south, Li Deo, the fire dragon, guards the border against invasions from Ind and Kuresh, all the while keeping one eye on the mischievous Monkey King in the nearby mountains of heaven. In the west, Zhao Ming, the iron dragon, indulges himself, consumed by his alchemical research. In the north, Miao Ying, the storm dragon, favoured daughter of her father, defends the great bastion that protects Grand Cathay from the open steppes and the chaos wastes beyond. A feat of almost unimaginable engineering, the great bastion climbs hundreds of feet above the landscape, its walls and towers bristling with cannon, archons, and legions of soldiers. Such is the might of the great bastion that it has never fallen, and only been breached a few times in its long history, often as a result of magic or cataclysmic seismic events. The secret of its strength comes from its construction. Thousands of years ago, when the people of the Old World were little more than primitive warring tribes, the celestial dragon was fighting to preserve his domain from endless chaos invasions. He foresaw the destruction of his empire at the hands of the dark gods, and knew that, in time, even he would not be able to resist the rising tide of invaders. His solution was to gather his greatest engineers and levy thousands upon thousands of his subjects to raise a wall from the mountains in the west to the ocean in the east, a barrier to stand for all time. As the wall grew, the celestial dragon and his children poured their magic into it, and so it became more than merely a barrier of stone, wood and steel, but one of will and determination.